How about the K.O. Knutson Chorale? Wow. As you all know, Dr. Jesus Jara, the superintendent of the Clark County School District, has been on the job for well over a year now, hard at work. I know we are all excited to hear from him today as he shares his vision for our district and the oncoming school year. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Jara.
First of all, before we get started, I'd like to thank Olivia to be with us this morning before she heads off to Georgetown University. August 20th, I think, is when you're leaving, right, Olivia? So anyways, thank you for being here and again, celebrating our children. Our performances, really appreciate our students who are here to start their school year a little early in their summer break. Well, good morning. Okay, let's try that again. Good morning. There you go. Thank you again. Thank you for being here at the Smith Center. And to the Smith Center, thank you for donating your space to us this morning. Welcome to the start of our brand new school year. There's some amazing energy here today, and I'm glad that we can come together with our focus squarely on the 321,000 children that we serve. But before I begin, I want to recognize every principal, teacher, parent, staff member in attendance. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work that you do every day on behalf of our children. To my cabinet, who is still just getting together as we finalize, thank you for your work and your commitment to our students. Again, your work is to be commended as well. And I'll also like to thank my 7 bosses, our school board of trustees, my president, Trustee Brooks, vice chair, vice president, Trustee Cavazos, our clerk, Trustee Garvey, our members, Irene Cepeda, Daniel Ford, Deanna Wright, and Dr. Young. Thank you for the work that you do. Let's give them a round of applause. As you know, we're working with less funding every day, but they ensure that each dollar we have is being used with our children, as always, at the forefront of our conversation. Again, trustees, thank you for what you do for our school system. No one person can fight this incredible battle to ensure that every child has a chance alone. Before I even tout our accomplishments as a district, I need you to understand exactly what's at stake and our context. So let's take a look at the quote on the screen. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Let me read it one more time. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So I am clear. I get up every single morning, and I tell you, I love my job. Every day thinking about the youth in this great city. Nelson Mandela's words should inspire, motivate, and frankly, frighten you each day. Many of us grew up in a household where someone knew this quote or said something very similar to inspire or encourage us in our lives. Our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, or even a kind guardian who nurtured and provided you with 3 square meals a day, guidance, and often firm direction. I need a little bit firm direction plenty of times. Unfortunately, this isn't the case for many of our students. Honestly, this isn't the case for the vast majority of them. This sentiment is echoed in the New York Times bestseller by Paul Tove entitled How Children Succeed: Grit, Curiosity, and the Hidden Power of Character. You see, this book draws the veil back on how children succeed and how we as educators must continue to evolve to effectively meet their needs at any given time. We have a serious crisis occurring in education, And that unbearable gap is right here in Clark County, Nevada. The educational normal that once occurred for many of us is not the case today, and technology has shifted that conversation even more. We must prepare our students for a global economy that is ever changing. We are facing a myriad of issues in education. Historically underserved and underrepresented children whose performance suffers due to a host of issues often graduate underprepared with a few opportunities because they did not have the right launch pad. Their trajectory is usually one of limited resources to survive or incarceration by the time they reach their prime of their youth. In your school sites, we have been swimming in behavioral problems and trying to put a Band-Aid on the issue. We are dealing with severe psychological problems, such as aggression, increased anxiety, and depression, all of which makes our classrooms' performance difficult. These issues, coupled with competing societal pressures, makes it hard for students to break the cycle that many of their parents also experienced or endured. Like single-parent households or uneducated adults, we have been replicating the cycle instead of breaking it. It is a generational curse that plays out daily for Clark County School District. The solution of these issues is deeply rooted in our communities, and the only solution is a laser-focused approach to education. Shoving students across the stage to increase graduation numbers is not the answer. And it's not acceptable for our children, families, and our communities. Our elementary schools are the beginning point that leads students into a successful middle school foundation, followed by multiple pathways in high school in order to be prepared for the future. You see, Las Vegas is unquestionably an international city, home to one of the greatest concentrations of wealth in this country. But just a few miles away, our children see, from a few miles away from roulette and blackjack tables, our children are facing dire issues. Literally, for our students, success and failure is a thin line, and what happens in Vegas stays here and creates a lifetime of issues for our community, and this must stop. In a few short weeks, we will be welcoming back thousands of teachers and students alike. The biggest issue, do you know what the biggest issue that our children face? Does a caring adult believe in their abilities? As I was putting together this presentation, I wanted to drive one point home so visually, physically, and mentally so we can understand what's at stake. So this morning, I'm going to share a series of commercials, many of you which you may have seen, that speak to our larger issue. So take a look at this video.
For each of us, there's a moment of discovery. We turn a page, we raise a hand, and just then, in the flash of a synapse, we learn that life is elemental. And this knowledge changes everything. We look around and see the grandness of the scheme. Sodium bonding with chlorine, carbon bonding with oxygen, hydrogen bonding with oxygen. We see all things connected. We see life unfold. And in the dazzling brilliance of this knowledge, we may overlook the element not listed on the chart. Its importance so obvious, its presence is simply understood. The missing element is the human element. And when we add it to the equation, the chemistry changes. Every reaction is different. Potassium looks to bond with potential. Metals behave with hardened resolve. And hydrogen and oxygen inform desire. The human element is the element of change. It gives us our footing to stand fearlessly and face the future. It is a way of seeing. It gives us a way of touching issues, ambitions, lives. The human element. Nothing is more fundamental. Nothing more elemental.
The human element. Nothing is more fundamental, nothing more elemental. Pretty powerful, right? We're a body of 42,000 human employees, 321,000 human students, thousands of anxious human parents, relentless human community members and business partners with dreams, passion, and outlook for a better future. That's where we must begin to start moving the needle forward. Together, focusing on the human approach. Last year alone, nearly 60 of our children committed suicide. This is unimaginable information, usually sends shockwaves throughout our district and community. And then those students become just mere statistics. Students just beginning to start their lives, existence no more. Strike off their hopes, cut away their dreams, eliminate their expectations, and the human element is gone forever. And unfortunately, more tragedy awaits us if we don't shore up our educational offerings and prepare the next generation. So, how do we begin to build on the successes of the past and move into a brighter future? So let's focus a moment of what we have accomplished this past year. So if you look, I'd like to thank our team, our collective bargaining team, for this year. At the beginning of the year, we settled 5 contracts, multiple years, first time done in over a decade. So congratulations, and with all our bargaining units as well, thank you for your work. We also developed and starting to implement Focus 2024. That has been a community effort where we have ambitious goals, and I talk about our ambitious goals because our children deserve nothing but the best. And 65,000 students are sitting in classrooms with CTE opportunities. So when they graduate, they will graduate career ready. And 62 principals in our first ever superintendent's honor roll. What I also like to celebrate is not just the 5-star schools. We also have 26 of Title I in Title I schools where free and reduced lunch is over close to 100%, where we're beating the odds. So thank you for your work. Goolsby Elementary School, congratulations. National Blue Ribbon School. ATEC, #1 high school in the state of Nevada. Congratulations for your work. And 4 new schools in the Governor's STEM Award. Congratulations for your work and your staff. Thank you for what you do. And as we continue moving on, I sat here before a year ago and I told you we're going to streamline the NEPF. So those principals and teachers who worked on that evaluation, we now have a streamlined evaluation system. Thank you for your work. We've also reorganized our district into 3 regions. We saved a little money, and we organized our district into 3 different regions with school associates, and also are in the midst of implementing a balanced assessment system where we'll have a K-9. Richard Canopal, Teacher of the Year, not only Teacher of the Year, but also in the Hall of Fame, a Heart Education Award recipient. Congratulations, Richard. And we have 128 nationally board certified classroom teachers in our schools. And of course, our Heart of Education Awards, thank you, the Smith Center again. Also in our food service, you know, this is something that sometimes goes unnoticed. Close to 46 million meals are served in our schools. That means there's some children in our schools that have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I believe we have also, and we serve probably the largest, if not one of the largest food service divisions or companies in the Valley. So our food service department working hard for healthy meals across this entire city. Thank you for your work. Legislative wins. You know, I heard when I first got here, our funding formula needed to be upgraded. Lyndon Johnson, I believe, was president when the Nevada plan was created. Lyndon Johnson, I don't think I was born 52 years. I know I wasn't born, I'm 49. So Lyndon Johnson was our president. Great win for not only the state, but certainly for Clark County, because we all know in this community that we have been subsidizing education across the state. So our government relations team and our entire community pitched in, and now we have a new funding formula that will really, where the money will follow the student. So again, thank you for your work around our legislative priorities. And I'll tell you, if you guys haven't made it to Carson City, it may be a point of destination. I had a good opportunity to go visit about 4 or 5 times this legislative session. It's a great place to come in and out and come back home, back to Las Vegas. And we really appreciate why we live in Southern Nevada. So, you know, as you look at this year, we also, big initiative was also to recognize our employees. And we started with a challenge coin because I think it's important, surprise visits. But I just want to tell you, as you know, everybody in this organization plays a key role. I received this letter in my email about one of our bus drivers. One of our bus drivers that accepted a challenge on her own. Actually, she took it upon herself to say, you know what, I want to do something different, and took on one of our behavioral bus routes, as they call it. And this is the letter that we get. I hope one day in the future, I see you again. I will remember all the interesting conversations we had. You always made my mornings and afternoons better. I also appreciate what you do and how long you work just for the kids. You're such a caring person, and it is amazing. I love how I could just tell you anything. Also, you are the best bus driver ever. Would Tina Koljak please come up? So this is a challenge card that says, let me read it this way. Superintendents, one team, one goal. We'll take a picture right here. Here you go. Thank you. Everyone plays a key role in our organization. By working together, we know that we can make CCSD #1 for kids. You see, a year ago, I came to this district, not as much gray hair as I have today. I didn't have reading glasses. I now use reading glasses. Just a few casino buffet pounds lighter, and without this worried expression etched on my forehead. As I said, I love my job every day of the week. But I took this job because I was inspired. I was inspired by the work that has been done, but more importantly, the potential of what is to come. We've had a lot of successes last year, but we have a lot of work to do. Listening and collaborating will be vital to that success. Take a look at one more commercial that synthesizes this point so well.
It's our song.
No, I never felt like this before.
Wait.
Yes, I swear it's the truth.
And I hold it on to you.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
You're the one thing
I can't get enough of.
so I tell you something.
This could be love because
Wait,
There are thousands of ways into the complex healthcare system,
I'm right.
and United Healthcare has ways to make the system simpler, like virtual doctor visits.
what happened here?
I came in too hot.
It's pretty funny. I don't see anybody dancing. Well, there's somebody. No, nobody's dancing down the aisle. So, see, in life, we will have fumbles along the way, but it's how you recover that matters. Wednesday, I had a press conference to announce the reinstatement of the dean positions across our district. After listening and learning, I realized that we needed to hear from more voices, and I have since remedied that decision. Please know that I do have an open door policy and I'm willing to listen. But you must understand one thing. My issue is so narrowed on children. It's what I do, it's my focus, my passion. Kids first. So thank you for those of you who came in and shared your thoughts with me. Thank you so much. Equity and access for years has been the topic of education as a hot button issue. It's a notion that all children can receive a quality education from qualified teachers in secure and safe buildings. In a district with sustainable resources that are equally comparable to other schools across this country. Sounds good, right? But how many of you in here can say that that's the case for every school in Clark County? I've had some meaningful conversations with many of you sitting here today. And what I've heard in return is how do we shift the conversations and put them in sustainable district-wide systems? Programs, initiatives, technology for all children. The answer is work. Principals, your job is tough. I've been there. Your job is tough. I've spoken to you all collectively, and this is one topic that we all agree on. Change is here. Change is happening. We're here to help you and support you. And change is hard. In the year ahead, we will be driving this message home, but not in words, but in actions. Because you see, we have 321,000 children counting on us to ensure that from kindergarten to graduation, they receive as many opportunities as possible. And at each school site, regardless of ethnicity, background, or gender. All means all. Here on the screen are the areas in which we will be drilling down. This work will require patience, dedication, accountability from all of us here today. I want to provide a preview of what we're doing and the areas in which our team will be working on with you on your sites to ensure that we are creating and then accelerating in this area. At the central office sites, I have tasked our team with looking at best practices and models that have worked at similar urban school systems across the country. It is time to roll up our sleeves and dive in. Now that we have been reminded that the human element drives our work, we owe it to our children to make this a reality. So let's take a brief look at some of the areas that we will be working on. Systems to track accountability, embedded in our Focus 2024. Initiatives that drive change, sustainable resources, training for teachers, and technology for all. So, what happens to a dream deferred? Or a district that doesn't take equity and access seriously? Pay close attention to the next video. Watch carefully. You see, our children travel to their school sites every day. And much like the stork, some travel through some of the roughest areas in our city. But despite it all, they come to us. They are met by proverbial wolves in the streets. They are faced with tremendous odds. They are treated like a number instead of a human. We must provide equitable opportunities to help them escape these challenges. Or we will look back in shame at the end of the day, knowing that we haven't done all that we can. So I'm asking you, much like the stork silently asked the young man, are you reaching your potential? Please direct your eyes to the screen. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. No truer words were ever spoken: challenge and controversy. So let me say that again: challenge and controversy. In the 1960s, a leader rose from amongst us and provided us all the keys to the path of equity and access for every person on this earth. Throughout the years, many of us, including myself, have forgotten our own personal vision, path, and destination. So please, indulge me, close your eyes as I read this quote again. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Now let's go back, way back into your personal past. Travel to that point in time, like Dr. King, and reflect on your route to education. Take it in. Maybe it's the moment you pass a praxis. Maybe it's the moment a child, bright-eyed and energetic, listened and drank in every word as you read to them your favorite story from your own personal book collection. Or maybe, just maybe, it was simply pretending you were that educator to your siblings and friends in the backyard during summer vacation. No matter what your journey was, the human element resounded in your heart. It drove you to greatness. It drove you to help. Now open your eyes. Are you personally doing everything in your power to help every single child under your care? So I have another commercial I want to share with you. It's pretty touching, but it's an example of what it means to go the extra mile for children. Take a look.
You and me, we go together naturally. Don't you think that we make a pretty good team?
See, when I was a young boy, no more than 60 years old, my father one day came home and said he no longer wanted to be there. There wasn't a sit-down talk. There wasn't a family counselor that intervened. He just made a decision, and that was that. His actions forced my brothers and sisters and I to become adults overnight. I can recall my mother to this day, who had a 6th grade education, weeping for my father as he left. Anger, disgust, hopelessness immediately took up residency in my home, where love, understanding, and opportunity once lived. It would take me years to understand. Over 12 years, never talked to him till I became an adult when my first was born. I couldn't understand the tears my mother had. She wasn't crying for my father. She was crying for her children with the uncertainty that we were going to face in the United States. So, my journey to education isn't one that's adorned in accolades, one that would make the front page headlines in our local paper. My journey is that of a young boy who relentlessly crammed his head in a book while working the late night shift at McDonald's in order to bring unwanted leftovers home so we could have dinner. And boy, did I eat apple pies at night. You see, I've never shared this publicly out of embarrassment, pride. But if we're going to change the trajectory of our future, we must be willing to be open and vulnerable in order to give our children the support they need. See, and the reality, my friends, is that this story is no different from the story that many of you have in your own personal memory banks and our children in our schools. Memories that drive you to the classroom to your school sites every single day. But before we can even focus on educating our students, we must see them all as humans first. Who amongst us today is ready to pledge with their hearts, minds, and time to supporting a child like this, or a child living in these conditions? Enough is enough. See, last year alone, my first year as superintendent, we lost 2,492 students that dropped out of our high schools. We collectively cannot wait on an abundance of funding or a promise from a politician or a grant that may or may not come. In our small spaces, every single day, we must be forging a plan that no child in Clark County School District is ever forgotten. Not one. No child, not ever, not today. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. Have a great year. Looking forward to seeing you in our schools. Thank you so much.